Next thing I wanted to talk about is your take on freemium. It's been such a hot topic lately. We've had guests on the podcast talking about it recently. And then, in the State of Subscription Apps report, we actually shared a number that blew a lot of people away, myself included, that hard paywall apps convert users at 5 times the rate of freemium apps. And I think a lot of people in the industry took that as a hard paywall or die. Like that's the only way to grow as a subscription app. And maybe that's true of like smaller apps, but that's obviously not true of an app at Life360 scale. So how do you think about freemium?
So first, naturally, it depends on the type of app, right? There are, some apps for which hard paywall absolutely makes sense. Apps where users have very high conviction, they're not social, they don't benefit from network effect, et cetera, et cetera. So that makes a lot of sense, right? For us, we not only we are a freemium app, but our free tier is extremely generous. I will say that for most people, it's good, it's great, it's good enough, right? In fact, the reason number one why people tell us they don't subscribe is because the free tier is good enough. And our philosophy is that literally we want to do something about it, but that something is not making the free tier worse, is trying to provide more value and really diversify the subscription offering, right? Why? There are a few reasons. One is, our company mission, we're really, all about keeping families safe. And we have a lot of features that are SOS and, crash detection, et cetera, that are literally, life-saving features in some cases. And so, making it, accessible to everyone is a big part of why we exist, really. But the second is, we are an app that benefits from network effect. In Life360 in solo mode is not really useful or interesting, right? You need to invite your family, invite your friends, et cetera, et cetera. The number one way that people discover us is parents telling other parents, about the app. And so, our thesis is that having a large, free, engaged, free user base around the world is actually one of the big moats and one of the big competitive advantages for us. I will also say that, we have an advertising business, so naturally there is also a business incentive for us to grow our free base. But it's really, the more people in Life360, the more people invite more people, the more people know about it, the more features like the Pet Finder network or the Tile devices or other the safety features that we have in the app are useful, the more density of users. And so, for us, it's all about that. That said, if you, as I was saying before, about 3% of our MAU are subscribers, but on average, about 4 people use a subscription. So it's really more about 12% of our MAU that are benefit for subscription, right? Which is, I would say, in line with a lot of subscription apps. Right? We are able to provide a good free experience, a great free experience, and for sure we could, limit that and grow a subscriber base much faster. But I think that we will pay for that down the line in slower growth and becoming a less interesting product.
Yeah. How do you think about that? Like, how do you think about when to add friction to the free experience versus when to, like you said, just only think about adding value?
Well, yeah. So adding friction to the free experience, we try not to. Naturally, in some cases, you have to. For example, we have a paywall in onboarding, right? Like every other app. Sure, it does add one screen of friction, but not having that will cut off a significant amount of other new subscribers, right? We have a feature that is location history, where you can look at for the last 2 days for free users where people in your circle were. 2 days is more than enough for a lot of use cases. Usually people want to see where people were in the last day or so. We did some testing in the past. If you cut it down to 6 hours or even 12 hours, like we double the amount of subscribers from the hook. So it will be a sizable win. A lot of companies will take that, but we haven't because it does make the feature significantly less appealing for free users. And it does make it less useful. And in some cases, it can make people less safe. So we decided not to do it. And, we paid for it on short-term bottom line, but we think in the long term is going to be, the right thing to do for a business.
It's so hard to balance the short-term wins against a long-term strategy. I talked to the chief product officer at Duolingo about this when I chatted with him earlier this year. And they think along those same lines is that, I think he called it the premium trap, is that you can easily juice numbers and, hit your quarterly revenue by just locking more and more features behind the premium tier, but then you're really shooting yourself in the foot long term. But it's so hard to get that balance right. Any advice you have on how you think about how you differentiate? Even things like when you create a new feature, what's the debate internally, whether it's a premium feature or a free feature? Like, how do you make those kind of decisions? Because it's so hard.
Yeah, so it's a very interesting one. And it's actually something that we've been wrestling with, because historically we had teams thinking about the free experience, and team, which are, the ones I work with now a lot, thinking more about the paid experience. And that's actually not the right way to look at this, because in most cases we think that unless there is a reason, and the reason is usually cost. For example, we offer roadside assistance to our subscribers, right? We could not offer roadside assistance to our free users because, every time they call it, we pay for the toll, right? And so that's one where, yes, it's a paid feature, and I think nobody expects to get, a roadside assistant for free, right? In other cases, we think that every feature should be freemium, meaning that every feature that provides value to a user should be great in the free version of the feature itself, and then it's up to us find additional value, real value that we can provide as a premium, right? The challenge in most cases is thinking of the mium part of freemium not as an artificial gate, say I give you 2 for free and then the rest is paid, although some features that we have worked away. But the challenge that we are wrestling most times is, how do we make something free and then create a completely new experience, a completely new tier on top of that? That is worth paying for, right? And so the part of this is getting teams that always think about free to think about both, and vice versa, right? And it's an interesting, debate that we have. There's no single question, but we'll say, generally speaking, if something is very expensive to provide, it will become a premium feature. If something is more of a software-based feature, we start with free, we try to build the best that we can, and then we find a creative way to build on top of it.